podcast number 1422. We've been doing this for, I don't even know, it's been so long since we started. But it's just me and you tonight, which is back to the old school roots, of what things are. And
It's not just me and you.
Oh, it's Murphy's there too,
Thank you.
on the bottom of the screen, if you see. Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
here?
it says Murphy right there. It says Murphy. Yep. Is it she or a he?
He.
It's a he. Yes, I could tell. I could definitely tell.
Uh-oh.
Prove it. Prove
Camera
it, dude.
shy.
Prove
Feeling
it.
Camera.
Prove
here.
it. Yeah. So we're here. We're back to the roots. The roots when it was just us three, I guess. The dog cam is back, and we just had to strip it down. It's a new year. It's 2022, and we have so much to talk about. Chuck, what is new with you? I heard you're trying to finish up Daniel X, not to be confused with Daniel's son. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Finishing up, man. Coming down the home stretch. Last episode. It's pretty wild. It's just really science fiction, and everything's on the table as far as like changing the environments in the background. So it's pretty intense stuff. But yep, finishing that up. And
You mean intense with the sound design in the background? Explain it, just in case people haven't tuned in for the last 1,442 episodes.
Murphy's so over it. Look, he said completely sick of me talking about this.
He's trying to prove that he's a guy. Let's see. Okay. All right.
Yes.
We got a freeze frame.
Jesus. All right. So, I mean, he is a guy, dude, but he was castrated at some point.
Oh yes. It's cruel. It's cruel to have a pet, man. It's just cruel to have a pet. What you do to pets, you have to neuter them and feed them stuff that's what we think they should eat.
Yeah.
Keep them in a place where we think they should live.
Yeah, I know. I didn't. I'm not really more of a rescuer. I'm not a go-getter kind of pet person.
Right.
So
right.
These guys kind of fell in my lap.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. But you love them though too. With pets, you love them so much.
You love them all. You take care of them like they're just one of the family.
Just cradle them and love them. So you work on Audible scripted sound series. That's what you were talking about, correct?
Yeah, they end up on Audible. It's like production companies kind of putting the stuff together. But yeah, so the one I'm working on now is called Daniel X. It's a James Patterson joint.
Nice. But you haven't met James yet, have you?
I have not met James, no.
Maybe he should jump in on this podcast one time. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. That would be pretty bold of me to try and facilitate that, but
no, I'm trying to facilitate it now.
Well, I would expect nothing less from you.
Thank you. I am talent acquisition for the show, so
you are.
That's my role.
You're aggressive.
I won't take no for an answer, James. So you do the sound and the background sounds and all the different sounds. You try to make it feel like that.
I don't do the music.
You do
that
the
sound
music.
is not my department.
Okay, you're right. You do the design. You do the design.
Yeah, like all the other stuff.
So if someone's supposed to be in a diner, you're clinking glasses together and spoons and throwing toast up in the air and flipping eggs and stuff like that, right?
All at the same time on one track. And then I pan it like 360 times so it covers each degree of the 3D soundscape.
Right, exactly. So the soundscape is expanding as well. So these like scripted audio, they have so they have the people, the actors, right? They're speaking it and read and scripting it, but they don't do it in the same room, right? They read their lines separately, and then there's an editor that puts them together to make it sound like it's cohesive.
Yeah, our editor, David, is he's a master at just kind of naturally assembling these conversations between people that are, most of the time doing their lines just ad hoc, or like just by themselves, to a producer, just kind of like playing the other character, or they're like, and sometimes during the pandemic they're just at home doing them in their closet,
Right.
And imagining the other person. So
And they do it in different ways. Like now I'm gonna do this scene like emotional, and now I'm gonna do it a little slightly angry, or is it just kind of a one read through?
yeah, they do it all sorts of different ways. Like if the director is present, they'll often be directed, like, give me more of this, that, explore this kind of thing. And yeah, then they do have to do all the practicals, which is like, they have to do like, yee, oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that kind of stuff, grunts and breathing and
Wow.
fighting. Um,
And
so it's probably the recording space, that's a COVID rich environment. If you're dealing with someone who's infected, you're gonna be doing a lot of breathing out.
Mhm.
So it's good that, stuff's all done, pretty isolated. So
Right, right. And then there's music. So music that goes in the background that you kind of like that do they hear the script first, or do they just kind of create the music based on what they're being told to create a vibe?
everyone gets a script, or at least some sort of pre-production, like one page or something, to get some guidance. And then people will like contribute as it's going along. Like I know the composer Giancarlo is doing more stuff on this right now, as it's going, the Daniel X stuff.
So after he hears that cut of the vocals.
Like even at this stage now where it's being assembled, like Brian Master is the I guess he's like a producer, and he's also composing on this as well, and he's assembling different pieces of the score that the composer did, and so it's right now you can hear assemblies like through different stages.
Wow.
So they start off just as like voices, and then people will try and figure out exactly like if all the pacing and phrasing and tempo feels right, and then I'll start laying in stuff as far as sound design and ambiance and whatever, and then score will be temped in or put in for real, just gets built. And then
Is sound design before music?
yeah,
Wow.
because I'm there because I don't get it. I don't listen to it with music because I'm just under the impression that I need to cover everything for the most part. And then the music's laid on top.
Wow.
And then the mix engineer at the end can kind of fade, appropriately.
So when you're doing this one, Daniel X, not to be confused with Daniel Son, you are doing what kinds of sounds are you creating? What kinds of things are you doing?
Oh, it's pretty full on. It is like science fiction. So you're talking your everyday walking around. It's set in Seattle, so he's walking around in Seattle, and so you have like nice weather. He's in his house, and then through the course of the story, it gets like the weather is getting worse and worse and rainier and stormier, and
Uh-huh.
so so there's just more weather and water, and then he's underwater in different places, and then
Oh wow.
there's it's science fiction, and the idea is he can you know, I don't want to give away too much about any of it, but like
Right.
basically everything is on the table as far as reality. So you can create different things, different creatures are involved.
Oh, okay. So do you make the sounds of these creatures, these science fiction creatures?
Yes, sir. All the stuff is that's not a voice or like a piece of score is from me. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So do you have some kind of creative control then to be like, well, I picture this alien or this creature sounding like this?
Yeah, like basically when you're working within like a chain of production like this, you just want to hit it out of the park, like right off the bat as best
Yeah.
you can. And that
Right.
and this kind of stuff, the best way to do that, you really just have to crystallize it down to like whatever the most essential parts are. And you know, hopefully that's going to resonate with the most people, and that's going to make it the most appealing and like fit with most people's imagination as to whatever they're doing in their mind with what they're hearing, right? So
Right.
that stuff can get finicky for sure. But it's good when you work with people because people will be like, no, that doesn't sound like it. That doesn't sound right. So you kind of like, you kind of find it. You find
Yeah.
that place. That's why the notes are there, is to like get it as best as you can.
Right, but I'm sure there's, creating something that someone's telling you like, oh, like this is, what I think it should, this is the description of it. And then them hearing it and being like, either that's not what I thought when I wrote those notes, but that's awesome. That's even better. Or that's just good enough or, for what we need. Versus like, yeah, that's not what I was meant when I wrote it. And that's actually not what I want to sound like.
Yeah.
So like so there's like some creativity in there where it's like you can be creative and still get what your vision was because you're the designer, and that must be cool to work with. Like it just seems like that the production on this is it's unlike what scripted audio used to be. There's just more production. There's more ins and outs to them, to these kinds of things. It's like a totally new space.
Yeah. They had the old radio dramas, and they did do some sound design. It was all like Foley based, like guys with like big pieces of metal making like thunder sounds and like,
Right.
like shells to like do horses and that kind of stuff. And like this is more, yeah, like I'm in a computer session and I'm pulling in like just the amount of sounds and in the time doing it, and then having one person do it, like you wouldn't be able to do that before. Like it's like to go from like a missile attack to like flying above, at like 30,000 feet, being like held by a drone, like just stuff like that you probably wouldn't be able to pull off in the old days as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's an old idea just done that hasn't really been done quite this way until now.
Yeah, it's like old animation versus computer animation or something like that. It's just a totally different world at some level.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
And I think that it's really cool that the way they're approaching it is in such a like serious like production kind of way. You're working with talent that's, I guess deserves that amount of production because it's
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like I don't even know. Actually, I'm not familiar with the. I don't know if anyone in this is like like a huge celebrity, like some of the other ones we've done. But
yeah.
which is actually kind of cool in a way. I prefer it for this, almost how like Star Wars had.
What are you saying about James Patterson? You don't think he's a household name?
Well, I'm just talking about the characters in the story, right? So like in
Oh, okay.
Star Wars movie came out. I mean, people knew Harrison Ford, but everyone else was kind of an unknown, right? And what's
Yeah.
good about that is you don't have like a pre-impression of who like of other characters that these people have played.
Right.
So I think one of the challenges, like with John Lithgow, like John Lithgow is a great voice, but he's done so much stuff that like I was watching an interview with him about the one we did, The Guilty, and like the woman interviewing him, who was very sweet, was like, all I can think of is Lord Farquaad from Shrek, you know, and it's like,
Right.
you know, you kind of just sizzled him there, being like, you're stuck as that dude, you know, like that's your voice to me. But like,
Right.
so and so someone listening to that, if they can't get that out of your head, then like that kind of ruins the whole thing, right? So
Right.
if you're hearing voices that you're not familiar with, it's going to be a lot easier to kind of create your own image of what that person looks like.
I wonder if some of these actors, these voice actors, are going to rise up in this space, and it's going to become like, you know, a totally new space where you can get fame and fortune.
Probably not to any extent that it's a pretty niche thing, and it's only really available because of the technology, right? Like, I mean, the old radio dramas didn't really last, you know, like they didn't. Right. I don't think they became the prevailing cultural thing, but they had a run, so it's like it's a cool thing to do for sure. And also we're not even talking about like the Atmos, like spatial 3D audio stuff that is becoming more popular now too. So it's an interesting space, and we'll see how far it can go.
But I mean, you get some pretty big names on board though, like some, you know, there's some big name actors that are doing these, so it seems to at least have some kind of draw to it as an art form.
Yeah, I think it's attractive for people that want to work. It was attractive especially because it was like there was no productions going on for, you know, whatever, most of the second half of 2019 and early 2020. So a lot of people weren't working, so we could do this because they could do it from home. So, but there's still people that want to do it, and it's just another place to work on projects. And so yeah, I actually saw there's like a podcast movie out now. I was like hearing a ton of commercials for
about the rise of podcasts.
No, it's not like it's not like Inception podcast movie.
What was the name of it? I spoke over you. I'm sorry.
It's Adam's, you know, Adam Scott.
Yes.
He's in it. And I can't remember the girl's name, but it's called Ghostwriter.
Ghostwriter.
Yeah. It's a podcast movie. It's an hour plus long. Like the ones we do are all broken up into like episodes.
Yes.
But this is an hour plus, like almost movie length. So it's pretty crazy. But I guess, you know.
I mean,
most of the time they're doing stuff like when they're doing this, when they're listening to these things anyway. So
is it a podcast where they like act in it, or what is it?
Yeah, like it's the same idea as this, but they're just calling it a podcast movie. It's a scripted audio movie. So they're acting out the script, you know, just like it was a movie, but there's no visual. It's all just done like this. It's done more old school. Like it's not quite as like, I'll play you some of this. I can't play it on the podcast, obviously. Sorry guys, but I'll play some for you of the Daniel Ek stuff. Like this stuff is like above and beyond kind of as far as what you would hear.
It's sick.
It's pretty wild. I mean, like I don't want to give too much of it away, but yeah.
What's going on with Jess behind there?
What's up?
She's upset.
No, I'm not upset.
You want to be on
very
the podcast?
upset. Very upset we didn't. You can get on, Murphy's camera. Get right on Murphy's camera. Jump on that couch where Murphy was sitting and come right in.
No, because I don't know what I look like now.
You look I can't really see you. Oh wait, hold on.
Myself?
Great. It's amazing.
You're right on
It's
Oh,
amazing.
it's tracking you.
It's
It's tracking
amazing.
you. Now it's tracking your
No,
crotch.
No.
that's
Yeah, look.
not what. That's not. You need to see.
It's tracking your butt
Do you
now.
see where it is? Do you see the camera? put the
See?
put
Right
the
there.
camera. Put the camera to your face.
Actually,
Jess, why don't you sit down so it
Sit
doesn't
down.
just focus on
Sit
your.
down, please. Sit down. But let's see your face. Okay.
I have Invisalign now, so.
So you have Invisalign? Oh yeah. You know, I went to the dentist today, and they mentioned adult braces to me because I guess when you're older, your teeth grow together. They grow closer together.
Yeah, I was so fucked up my teeth. It's horrible.
Yeah, we don't say curse words on this podcast. I'm just kidding. So Jess, let's talk
I'll
about
cover it this time. What's up?
let's talk about so on tour with State Radio.
For the dog, you know,
I
we didn't.
wanna
Just
be on-
sort of
But
surprised.
Jess, hold on, I have a question for you.
I don't want to be on dog cam.
That's not a dog.
I want to be on decent looking wife cam.
Okay, well, yeah, well, the dog cam you could put in a different position to make you look in the decent looking wife cam.
She doesn't. That's not her department.
Okay, so I remember on tour, and I wanted to remember if you can remember the specific time, but when there was one, we were in a park. I'm not gonna tell you what kind of park. You should be able to figure it out. And I walked up, and you were at like a picnic table, like a monkey, like a wrapped around Chuck. I was telling my wife about this the other day.
We were at
said-
a water park.
Yes, that's it.
That's because I liked him so much back then.
Could you imagine being that much in love right now?
What?
So could you imagine being that much in love right now? Like you were so in love that you're at a water park, just like koala beared on top of somebody.
I koala bear on him every day though. Still.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, right. I did just like 2 hours ago before I left.
Wow.
It doesn't mean I'm as in love with him as I was then. I just still koala bear.
We're on a good run lately.
You guys.
We are on a good one lately. Do you want mac and cheese? That's what I came in here.
Mac and cheese, huh? Wow. Are you? What are you, 6?
It's for Simone. But
I'm okay, thank you.
Chuck only gets meals that are cooked that I'm cooking for Simone.
I get
Right.
Skillo.
Yeah. So basically, like you're saying that almost every day you get koala'd.
Yeah.
For how
Lately. Lately.
Lately.
for how long? Like what you just sitting there and all of a sudden there's like a koala bear on you?
Mm-hmm.
And how long will it last? Like 20 minutes or something?
No, not that long. It's more. It's a couple minutes, 5 minutes kind of thing.
That's pretty good. That's true love, man. That's true love.
Yeah. It's true tolerance.
It's true It's true tolerance. So let's talk about the alien.
Let's talk about you, man.
No,
what
no.
have you been up to?
No, I'm the interviewer.
how's
okay?
band
I'm the
practice?
interviewer. The interviewer. Good. I'm going to Minneapolis. I don't know if I told
What?
you, for a show.
David and Minnie?
Yeah, I'm going to Minneapolis for a show. It's like a corporate event. This guy that I know that played he played as a fill-in in the cover band that I played in 2015 to 2017 called Closing Time.
Mm-hmm.
He was a fill-in in that band, and he was basically, hey, listen, I'll give you a call if I have a gig for you. And I'm like, this guy's never gonna call me. Why would he call me?
Why would
Just
you call me
met him.
ever?
Yeah, why would you call me? Don't call me. I give him a fake number. I said my name was Cinnamon, and he ended up looking me up and calling me the correct number.
Cinnamon.
Yeah, Cinnamon, how you doing?
You. I was having a real hard time finding you, Cinnamon.
Yeah, and he was like, I got a gig for you out in Minneapolis, and I was like, that's not gonna happen, And then I started thinking about it, and he told me what the pay was for the gig, and I was like, that's not bad for playing music out in Minneapolis. Like that's a free vacation for me with money in my pocket when I come home.
Yeah.
Like this is I don't go anywhere, dude. I haven't been on a plane, and I don't even know how long.
And Minneapolis in January is beautiful.
So it's supposed to be last year, in 2020, in like the fall, and it got canceled. And then it was 2021 in the fall. The guy who was supposed to do the gig in 2020 backed out eventually because of COVID and didn't want to do it in 2021. He had done it before. He's got this gig running a couple years, and he said, "You were my next choice. Would you do it?" And then I said yes for September, and then it got pushed to January. And they were gonna. It was supposed to be an event that had like 2,000 or 3,000 people, and it's got pushed down to like 300 or 400. I guess it's just the company party, where it was for the company and all their vendors. So I guess it's a pretty big place. It was at the House of Blues in Chicago. No, sorry, House of Blues in Minneapolis, I think. I don't know why I said Chicago, because the House of Blues in Chicago I remember that place. We were
Like
talking
that.
about that with Duramio, right? That was his favorite
Exactly.
venue.
Yeah.
Or something like that. He's what he said. It was like, or he said maybe the venue was like the House of Blues. I think he said it was like the House of Blues in Chicago or something. Whatever
Ooh,
it was.
House
was-
of Blues ish
Yeah.
venue.
So it was,
Because I don't think there is one in Minneapolis, thank God, as far as I know.
there might not
No.
be. Yeah, there might not be. That's probably where I was getting Chicago from. He maybe said it was like House of Blues in Chicago.
Right.
So it was like, I was like, wow, that's a decent, cool place to play. And then I just like, my instincts took over. I said, I have to take the gig. I have to take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went to practice with these guys. I'm like, well, so he gets a set list going with, I've been in a cover band for 7 years, and I know like 3 of the 30 songs that he picks,
Oof.
you know? And I was like,
That's-
dude, we need to practice. He's like, that's all well and good, except the singer, who's a female, lives in New York City, so we'll just practice in Minneapolis. I'm like, that's not gonna work for me. I play drums. I'm not gonna bang on my leg. Like I want to hear what you guys play like. I want to get the vibe of your style of play. Even if we don't play the songs or know the songs that well, we need to just
I need to hear something out of you.
yeah, I need to get your vibe. I need to get your vibe.
Little
So-
vibe, right? So what are the other 27 songs?
Oh, they're just all sorts of songs, man. They're like, I just didn't know, like a Lady Gaga song, You and I didn't know that
it's like
one.
pop, a lot of pop stuff.
Yeah, danceable stuff. You know that. Well, that's why I thought I'd know a lot of the songs, because that's all the stuff we do. Is like the
Yeah.
'80s and '90s and Bruno Mars and all the songs that like people dance to, like the staples. And in closing time, we play like 45 songs a night. You know what I mean? And we rotated songs in and out. I played in 2 different cover bands that are based on people dancing. And this guy just like the songs are great, but like I didn't know him. Like 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton. Like I didn't know that.
Ooh.
I didn't know how to play that. We never played that live.
Look at you expanding your repertoire.
Yeah. Killing Me Softly by the Fugees is one of them.
Boo boo doo. Boom boom. That's just like straight ahead, just like beat.
Yeah, but the entry is kind of weird and anyway he plays them and then so glad that we did go and practice, but the keyboard player was supposed to be there. It's keyboard, bass, him, and me. He plays guitar. And the keyboard player gets COVID like the 2 nights before the practice. He's like, well, I still got the space. Anyone still want to go? I'm like, yeah, I really want to just hear what you guys, even if it's just a bass player, me and you, like just see just get me a little bit more comfortable, because I don't know any of the songs and I'd never played with you guys.
Yeah.
And dude, these guys were awesome. They're great players.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was really impressed. We got to get them for a little remote players club, dude. I'm telling you.
Were they like ex-music school peeps or band peeps or what?
I think so. Yeah, like these dudes that I think that the guitar player might have went to Berkeley. I don't know if he did or didn't, or the bass player did or didn't. It
Yeah.
really doesn't matter. He was talking about people who did go to Berkeley, but maybe he didn't. It doesn't matter. He has like 36 guitars.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, he plays all the time. I've never seen anyone loop like this besides Ed Sheeran, who's like really good at looping. But I think this guy's maybe even a little better at looping than Ed Sheeran in the way he does it.
Loop Master? Does he have Boss 90 loop station?
I don't know what he has, but he has skateboard that he set up with all these different. That was what he was gonna.
Let me
Yeah.
ask you this: is his pedal board Steve Vai-esque?
I don't even know what Steve Vai would have, but it was small enough where I was like, "What? How is he doing all that with?" It was a skateboard with just a couple pedals.
Oh, it was
on it.
literally a skateboard.
Yeah.
That's
It was-
awesome.
It was cool, yeah. I go, how do you do that? And he's like, well, yeah, I'm like, 90, I bet like 98.5% on looping, getting it perfect with the loop. And I'm like, you did it almost like, I was like, I've seen 100%. You did like 5 different things, and it took you literally like 40 seconds to create that loop. And like different things are going in different places. And
Yeah.
and he goes, listen, I played for 8 years with this drummer live where I used to loop. And I know what it takes to have a drummer latch onto a loop. Because if you just do a normal loop with just the guitar, the guy can't stay in time.
Right.
So he was doing things. He just like do like the loop. He'd do a couple bars of a guitar, and then he'd be like he'd play like a bass line, like kind of, but like on the guitar, and he'd do another accent, and then he would do this, blah 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 blah. And like 40 seconds later, I'm like, that's the most like latch-onable loop I've ever heard in my life. How did he do that?
He sounds like he's a badass guitarist.
He's unbelievable. Yeah, he's great. I guess he's really focused on blues now, is what he was saying. And he recorded a lot of the practice, and when he played it back, I could see how he was.
Yeah.
But he was very, very nimble with those fingers.
Mm.
Very, very good player. Like really interesting to watch. Really interesting to play with. And the bass player that was playing with us, he told me like before, he's like, this is my go-to bass guy. This guy, he's like, this is my guy.
Yeah.
You're gonna love this guy.
Is he good?
Yeah, he's really good. But it was like, I told him I told them that I was not expecting them to be that good. That's basically what I actually said those words.
Nice.
He's
You're
like,
pleasant.
It's what everyone wants to hear, right?
Yeah, exactly. So how old were they? Are they your age?
Probably, yeah. I think that the bass player is probably younger. The guitar player is probably around my age, maybe slightly younger, but around. The bass player has 2 kids, 2 year and 6 month old. And
It's awesome, man. You're going on tour, dude.
yeah. So, yeah, I wasn't expecting that because the guitar player played with Closing Time. That's what I said. I wasn't expecting you to do all this stuff. You play with Closing Time, and like no offense to you, you played everything correctly.
Yeah.
But I didn't see you like ad lib. He goes,
Right,
yes.
right.
Because the guy told me not to ad lib.
Right. Just following him directions.
I said, oh, okay. Okay.
That
Because he was playing everything different, dude. He had a great pocket as well, a very rhythmic guitar player. So he played things with an extreme pocket. He knew how to play with a drummer, essentially. It was a drummer's dream. And then he would just like, and he would just solo, just like crazy solo stuff. And I'm like, where did this guy, but not in like an uncool way, you know what I mean? Not like like the whole time, you know. He was like,
That's cool. You could do that.
not the whole time, but he can play that. But like, it was tasteful stuff where I was like, okay, he's not just like doing one technique.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually thinking about what he's playing and like taking it in different directions and dynamically thinking about it, you know, in creative ways. So yeah, he's great. Well, we should have him on the cast, dude.
Totally.
So he was a pleasant surprise, and I'm going on tour. It's going to be awesome. And then in the 22nd,
That's gotta play Vegas, man.
yeah, we should play Vegas. Well, we should pluck this guitar player to play with us, man.
Yeah.
Problem is, I mean, you know, you gotta pay him. He's like $9,000 a gig. It's no big deal.
$9,000. That's
Yeah.
like 1,000 less than you.
Yeah. So then on the 22nd, I got a gig with the Waves at the Pembroke Soundcheck Studios, which is an amazing local venue that I'm so psyched to be able to play. So that's
Nice.
really cool. So I got a couple cool things happen in the next couple weeks musically. But nothing as cool as getting our songs released. I'm really excited about that. I want those songs released. Nothing as exciting as getting this podcast out to the world. And nothing as exciting about they're not called UFOs anymore. What are they called?
UAP.
UAP. Yeah, I want to hear the newest on the UAP. That's what I need to know.
The newest. Well, let's see. I mean, I don't remember what we got into last time. I mean, they passed that law, right? It went through because it was attached to the military budget.
Right.
and no fresh crazy sightings or anything.
But what was the law again?
They're basically establishing um, a like another department to track this stuff, and they're gonna have like official reports released every I
Every
think it's
month.
quarterly or something.
Is DeLong involved in that division, or is this separate?
No, DeLong's whole thing was he started TTSA to the Stars Academy, and that was like essentially a private company that was a bunch of government people that left government because they were sick of not getting shit out. So this was like the private version of that. And it had like a bunch of different people in it, like Christopher Mellon and Lou Elizondo, like all these guys that came out and spurred the whole New York Times article and the Pentagon to confirm all those videos as real that were leaked, that showed this stuff, the different incidents, the Tic Tac one, the Go Fast. So no real new developments, but I mean, Kristen Gillibrand is the woman. She was the one. I mean, she worked with Rubio, but I'm pretty sure Rubio just was like, okay, but like she got it done. It was her kids actually that got her into the whole thing.
Right.
They were like, yo, you gotta do something about this.
They were abducted by aliens. Let's just tell everyone the facts.
They were. I don't know anything to that effect. So this is you creating
This is
misinformation.
us. This is us.
No.
Season finale. Series finale. This is us. The last season. This year.
Yes, the last season of Us is
So what are the chances? What you're gonna ask a question? What is it? What's the question?
I was going to ask you, was that light incident before, or is that because that's UAP, like that's the thing, right? Is like all that stuff, it's all tied together, and this is why it's hard.
So you think because I'm starting to ask questions about this, I'm thinking about putting the podcast out. I'm talking about this. I had this in my mind to ask tonight, that they're paying me a visit with that light that was flickering over there.
It's potentially true. So like the whole thing, the direction it appears to be going, the trend is that it's consciousness is the connection to all this stuff. And so yes, you could potentially consciously or unconsciously summon UAP. There's people that do it, supposedly. They're able to just like know when they're going to be around, and they get involved in these weird meditations where they actually try and pull them in. Tom DeLonge did one out in the desert. They did I think it's called EC5 or something, and like they do it where they meditate and try to like
Communicate.
focus on summoning UAPs, being like come hang out. And they did it in the desert, and they went to sleep, and he woke up. I believe I'm telling the story correctly. He woke up in his tent at like 3 or 4 in the morning and heard all these like whispering voices outside, like a lot of them, and didn't go out and went back to sleep. And then like bunch of people,
after he pissed his pants.
Yeah, after he shit his pants.
Yeah.
And then I guess corroborated with a bunch of other people the next day. So I don't know. People say, like, he especially is like, don't do it. So I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it. But yeah, there's no real new news to report there. Just
well, you don't want to do it.
And the sooner you realize it, the better.
What was that last part? What was the warning there?
No warning. Is just we are an ant farm. We're just someone else's experiment, and the sooner we realize it, the better.
Okay, so two things that this makes me think of. Number one, You say you don't want to do one of these things. You don't want to summon those spirits. Well, we're doing it right now. We're already doing it.
I'm not.
We're already doing it. We're doing it.
I'm
I'm
not.
summoning. Come to me. Come to me. Come to me.
You don't know
The
the-
light was already. That was weird. I think it was because of the space heater. That's my explanation. But you seem to think that that's not an explanation.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It was weird because it was like,
It was very strange. I'd never really seen anything like that before. I thought someone was
it was like
flickering the
how it would
lights.
look. Yeah, how it was if someone was flickering the lights, or
But
if-
what? But it was one light though. So but
right.
it was,
That's what was fucking weird.
and it never has flickered, and it's like burning light. It's like very bright since then. It has not wavered. Has never wavered.
The only thing it could be is like if the filament itself like got freaked out for a second. Like sometimes before it's gonna burn out,
Could be.
it'll do something weird, and then it'll burn really bright for a little while, and then it'll be done.
Could be.
I don't know if you have an LED or an old school filament.
I don't know what one that is, dude. I don't know what that looks like. A LED. It's freaking me out, man. It's freaking me out.
You're living
So-
in a haunted house. It's okay.
So second question of all this is second thing is Tom DeLonge. Do you know enough about his story and him and like this whole thing to have him on this podcast? Can we get him? You know, I'm the talent booker, so I want him. Would he be interested?
I would. You could certainly try. I don't know. We don't really have any followers or following or an actual thing, but you could ask him.
Well, we haven't
I mean,
posted anything at this point. Even though this is what episode, we have not posted anything to any kind of social media or anything. We've only told people about it and posted it to a YouTube, which I don't think anyone would be able to find.
Yeah.
So we're at the point where we're going to start releasing it, and you know, who knows at that point, dude. You know, we'll have a lot of content out there very quickly, and we can point to it and be like, this is what's up. And I think
Yeah, I think it's always worth asking. I mean, Lou Elizondo said he's like he'll go on any podcast. Doesn't care how many followers you have. If he can fit you in, he'll go on. So if we want to try to have Lou on, we could do that. I mean,
you feel comfortable enough with your knowledge and how you feel passionate about this space that you could ask intelligent questions and carry on a conversation with this guy?
yeah, and he's cool. Like he's just there to disperse the message, right? So he's cool with whatever your level of knowledge is. Like he's not going to be put off if you're not up to speed, because he understands that disclosure is going to hit everybody differently, because you know it's a fucking sea of misinformation and disinformation, and like so you have different people at different levels of understanding, and like he's obviously been privy to a lot, so he seems like he's a good dude. I'm thinking he would be
He's our guy.
I'm not down to ask anybody. I mean,
And you'd be able to ask intelligent questions. Like if I said, hey, Chuck, let's get like 10 questions together for this guy in case we need to ask him some questions. Or do we ask him to ask?
If we're having Lou Elizondo on, I would put time into questions. I could already come up with intelligent questions now, but I would actually put in some of my time to fucking come up with stuff to ask.
Or should we have him send questions that we should ask him? How about that?
He prefers, like, when he's on podcasts, people will put up the date of when he's going to be on, and they'll start taking thousands of questions from people
Oh, wow.
before that.
Oh, there's my timer.
So, like, if we had him booked, we would be like, and we put up like listener questions. Like, there's YouTubers out there who make money doing this stuff, where they'll like, people will tip them out on their questions. I mean, I'm sure it's not a lot, but it's like they actually try and do this as their job, you know?
Wow.
So yeah, like he would be like a big kahuna kind of guest. And obviously Tom DeLonge, any of those guys would be. Tom DeLonge would be huge too. Anyone of that caliber, really. I mean, no offense to our other guests. But.
Or me? Or
You're not a
you?
guest.
Or you?
We're hosts. We don't.
Yeah, but I mean, Tom DeLonge is Tom DeLonge, right? You can't. Can't argue that. Is there anything else you want to talk about on this podcast? Because my timer just went off. I got all my questions in for you. I got to talk about myself, which is I don't like to do it. I barely like
Well,
to talk.
that was good, man. It was good to get updated. Like you're actually going out and gigging and stuff.
Yeah, it kind of happened in a quick little way too. I wasn't thinking about it, and then I was like, oh man, wow, I gotta check out all these songs. You know what I mean? It creeps up on you when your life is moving at a million miles an hour with all different things going on. So it's gonna be a nice time to go somewhere and play some music. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that'll be great. Sunny Minneapolis in January.
Yeah, it's gonna be freezing. Someone sent a text message saying it's like 1 degree
You're gonna go to the
Fahrenheit.
Holiday Inn on what was that, 6th Street or whatever? I forget, to get the cookies.
Oh yes,
Chocolate chip cookies.
yes. That's what we. Was it like the Sleep Inn or no? Was it the Hilton? No, was it the Holiday Inn? It was
That
the
was the
Holiday Inn,
Holiday Inn.
probably. But we used to go there every time, right?
I thought, yeah, we tried to hit that spot, and then where did we play? A bunch of different places.
Yeah, Minneapolis was a. There was one venue that like the guy owned a restaurant next to it. Remember that?
Yeah,
He had really cool like hip vibe and good food, and we got to eat it for free. I think.
it was living, man. That there's mini St. Paul has got some really cool music venues. At least they did. I don't know. I'm obviously out of the loop, but it's a cool spot to go, man. Even in January.
Yeah, because sometimes we did go there in the winter a few times.
Oh hell yeah, we were the bottom feeders of the touring schedule. We were there to clean up the unused dates. Who wants to tour in North Dakota in January?
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah. We were in like Bozeman, Montana when it was like freezing out. We had the chains on the bus to get to Aspen. And
Oh yeah, yeah. The ski resorts are always fun to
Yeah.
go to.
Remember Darren was like I just don't know how we're gonna make it to these places. Like why are we taking these chances?
Yeah,
Just like
gotta
put
get
the
that.
damn chains on the damn wheels and drive through the mountains.
Darren was a good driver. At least I felt I was at peace when he was driving.
So one night I was up with Darren, which was a great night, and he's like driving. It's like 3 a.m, and he's like, "Do you ever feel like sometimes you're just like part of the road? You're not really driving the bus at all, and it's like you're just being guided by being part of the road?" And I'm like, "No," and I hope you don't feel like that either, because that's like that's how you feel when you're. I remember I think I told Sybil that, and she's like, "Oh my God, we're gonna die."
Guided by the well, I mean, at least didn't say he was guided by voices or something. Like the road is important.
Yeah, he's like, I just melt into the road, and if I don't even feel like I have to drive the bus or something. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. No, he was just that good, man. It's hard. See, you took that the wrong way. He was telling you like that he had like gone to a new level of driving where he basically can like black out and drive. So
Oh, totally. Yeah. No, I was not scared, but it was just like the way it was presented was like, I was like, "Are you sure you want to telling me this? Like, I sleep on the bus while you're driving.
yeah,
Like I don't need to know like that you go to a spiritual place and like black out for hours." I mean, like you probably keep that to yourself, but like I understand what he's saying. I do
he was
understand what
being
he's
real
saying.
with you, man. He was being vulnerable.
No, yeah, no, and I understand exactly what he means because like think of driving overnight and driving that many hours with such a big vehicle and just like being on the road and there's not much else going on in a lot of places, right? So he's going through lots of farmland, I'm sure, at points, and there's not many other cars on the road, right?
Mm.
So it literally just is him and the road.
Yeah.
And he's not like he wasn't an aggressive driver, so he wasn't like driving like a million miles an hour anyway, you know.
No.
He was a great driver actually, so I could understand how he would just be doing it so much, like you're saying, and it's just like it just becomes like you're just part of, you're in the now, you're in the present. It just becomes what you're doing. You're just like, you're not really doing like thinking in the future to do it. It's just happening, and
Exactly.
you're just a part of it.
Exactly.
And when thinking of it like that, it becomes very beautiful because it's like you're zen. You're just one with the situation. It's the
Yeah.
it's the
And then it's
perfect
like-
driver.
And then it's like cut to like a Doyle family rules, like
Yeah.
driving off the cliff and fucking family vacation.
Oh, like yeah. He's like I've never been more nervous driving a bus in my life than being on tour with you guys. You're the band that Dalton said our manager was like, no one tours in the winter.
Yeah.
That's why you guys got to do it. You'll have carte blanche, you know?
Yeah.
And that was our strategy, but it was just not a great gig for Darren driving us around, having to put the chains on and be like, I don't think we should make this drive. And us being like, yeah, you know, oh, Darren, it's okay. You know, just do it. It's all
do it,
right,
man.
man.
Gordo will pee on you. Don't worry.
But he was awesome, man. He was like, I remember one time I saw him at Warped Tour with Justin because he was like on the number 1 or 2 bus on Warped Tour. He made it all the way to the top of the Warped Tour drivers.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah, he was the man, and I think he might have even owned the bus by then. He really just like was dominating the scene, and Justin took me over to see him. He's like, you gotta see Darren, and I went over to him and I talked to him, and he said, you know what, man, you're the tops, and I never heard that term,
Yeah.
but I did feel like the tops when he said that. I was like, that is cool.
In a good way, right?
Yeah, like the top of the pinnacle of awesomeness.
Pinnacle, yeah, because you could be the tops of bad stuff too.
I
Right?
think you meant the tops of the awesome stuff because it was a good conversation. Unless he was mean like you're the top of poopiness and please leave. I'm trying to get out of here.
Right, which would be like a sudden turn in the tone of the conversation from what you're saying.
It's funny because I mean, I don't think Darren would do that because he seemed pretty nice, but maybe I misinterpreted it all these years.
Maybe Darren should be on.
I would love to have Darren on. Darren would be great. Darren might be
Yeah.
tough to get though.
It's true.
I need to figure out how to contact him first of all.
Yeah,
I probably could have his number somewhere. Well, anyway, that's some good
Darren
stuff.
and Gordo on. It would be like a reuniting. Is Gordo still alive?
He is?
Yeah.
Where is he?
He's at my in-laws around the corner.
Oh wow.
He's got like one eye and he can't hear or see but he's still feisty.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Gotta be one of the oldest pugs on the planet. He's like 16 years old at this point. I think 17.
Wow.
Be old for a dog.
Yeah, maybe get Gordo next time. Bring him over for the dog cam.
Okay.
You know, he
Yeah.
probably won't move too much either, right? He'll probably be.
No, man. We just put him in a little box. He just chills out in his little box because otherwise he'll like wander off and get lost and you won't know where he is.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, put him in his little box.
Well, that's some great stuff, dude. So I'd say that's the
It's wrap.
podcast in a nutshell. That's a wrap, all right.